So, folks, there is a very serious topic that we have to talk about, and it is related to this big, beautiful bill that Donald Trump has been shepherding through Congress. It seeks to cut $880 billion from Medicaid. It's estimated to cut like $500 billion from Medicare. It is one of the biggest pieces of legislation that has ever existed in this country, and it has the potential to create untold amounts of suffering for literally millions of people. People who are retired, people who are young, people who are disabled, people who are gay or trans or minorities, basically anyone who is not in a position of solid power, both economically and politically. You're on the chopping block here. You're going to feel it, right? And it is really bad. The CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, estimates that about 14 million people, and again, 14 million of like the poorest people in the country, are going to be thrown off of Medicaid due to the cuts that are coming in this bill. And I have to let you guys know that unfortunately, I think that is likely, given the history of the CBO, a fairly conservative estimate. That's like maybe like a best case scenario from like the effect of this. And that's why we have to fight this, because while the bill has passed in the House, that does not mean it is done. That does not mean it is game over for opposing this bill. What happens now is that it goes to the Senate. And Senate Republicans are not at all unified behind what the House has passed. And we're gonna get into this a little bit more detail. But first, I just want to point out that in the House, this bill passed after like a 24-hour-long marathon session of committees and debate. And one thing I just want to throw out there is that I'm disappointed in Hakeem Jeffries. And I know like that's not a new feeling for me to have, but Hakeem Jeffries, as the like Democratic leader in the House, is able to have an unlimited amount of time during debate to make his comments. He spoke for 37 minutes and threatened to talk for 15 minutes every single time he was interrupted, right? If you have an unlimited amount of time, be an asshole. Speak for like 24 hours. Go like pull a Cory Booker. Be a savvy politician. Delay. And when you stop during a point when there are more Democrats present than Republicans, so that you win the vote. Like, I don't know, play politics a little bit. Be a little bit scummy with process. If you have that ability, use it. And the reason I'm like upset about this is that, ultimately what ended up happening in the House is that it passed by one vote. One vote. Republicans got one more vote on this bill than Democrats. Two Republicans were not present. One voted present, but did not vote yes on it. And 3 seats among the Democratic ranks were empty. Those 3 seats were empty because each person in those seats amongst the Democrats died earlier this year. We're 5 months into the year, folks. 3 Democrats have died in office in the House of Representatives. Most recently, Jerry Connolly, who, mainstream Democrats supported over AOC's challenge to be in charge of like the House Oversight Committee. And I just want to point out there that like at the time, people were doubtful about Jerry Connolly's health because we knew he had cancer. But all these mainstream Democrats consolidated behind Jerry Connolly and said, it's his turn. He's put in his time. He put in his time, guys. It's his turn. Let the birthday boy into the bumper car. And, he was sprightly and spry 75-year-old with cancer, according to many of the Democrats who consolidated behind him. Pelosi literally whipped votes from a hospital bed for this. Yeah. So one of the things, and we're going to continue talking about the Senate in a minute here, but like one of the things we really need to reckon with on the left and within the Democratic Party are these colossal missteps and blunders that seek to just consolidate power around convenient figures in the Democratic Party, regardless of their actual condition or ability to proceed, right? Exactly, Paladin. I was just about to get to that. Like, some of these figures are in some of the most safe Democratic districts in the country. That's why they've been able to hold their position for, 30, 40 years in some cases, right? And Jerry Connolly was one of those guys. And it's just one of those situations where, like, if you know you have cancer and you're like, you should probably, like, let me put it this way. Maybe under normal circumstances, normal times, a member of Congress having cancer is not like a disqualifying thing. I'm just going to throw that out there. It's not necessarily a disqualifying factor. But if you are going into an oncoming fascist regime and you know that you are going to have to fight for the rights of your constituents with literally everything you've got, maybe that's not the time to hold on to your power. If you are also fighting a battle against cancer and age. Because that's one of the things. It's not like this was an unknown circumstance in a lot of these cases. If Jerry Connolly, it was assuming, for example, that that Kamala Harris was going to win, and then it turned out, he won his seat, but Donald Trump is in office. Maybe the thing to do would have been to step down, trigger a special election in the district. If that had happened, he would have been replaced by now. We've had multiple special elections already. He could have been replaced by now. Yeah, the actual quote is exactly that. He is a young 74, cancer notwithstanding. Well, God, it's very, very frustrating. But Jerry Connolly is the most recent one to pass away. We've also got Sylvester Turner, Raul Grijalva, and like those three people, had they still been alive, would have been able to stop this. We have to do something about this. And I just, like, we're talking about a bill, guys, that cuts SNAP benefits to an extraordinary degree. We are seeing the greatest reductions in spending in U.S. history, and it is not even close. And what that is going to translate to is more people starving, more people going homeless, more people going into bankruptcy because of medical debt, more people unable to get the medical care that they need. And like, if you think, well, it's America, we wouldn't let people just die of cancer in America. You need to watch a documentary called Southern Comfort. Okay, it's about a trans man in the 90s who was just denied healthcare while suffering from ovarian cancer. Couldn't find anyone to do operations, couldn't find anyone to treat him, and he slowly, agonizingly died. That is something that happens in America if you are in a vulnerable community. And if you are poor, you are in a vulnerable community. If you are trans, you're in a vulnerable community. If you are, non-white, you're in a vulnerable community. All right? And I need folks to understand that we are in for a world of hurt. We are in for exponentially more pain than any of us have imagined in the modern era. That is why, now that this is going to the Senate, one of the things you need to incorporate into your daily routine is calling your senators. Call them every day. Use 5calls.org. There is a script to talk about, these Medicaid cuts in particular. Call them every day. Leave them a voicemail. I don't care if they're like not answering the phone. That doesn't matter. Leave them a voicemail with your name, your zip code, tell them you're a constituent and tell them the issue you're calling about. Be firm, be polite, but also let them know how you feel. Email them every day. Get in their social media comments. Send them faxes. There is a wonderful website that I've been, made familiar with called faxzero.com. And you can send a fax online for free. And it even has every single senator that you can fax in a handy little list here. Okay. Not everyone accepts faxes, unfortunately. However, many of them do. Worth a shot. And it's super easy. Just fill in your sender information, receiver information, and type up your message here. And you can send 5 free faxes every single day. You get 5 free ones every day. Fax your senators. What you guys have to do is you have to maximize the amount of pressure these people experience. And I know that it can be a lonely endeavor to call and fax and do all those things, right? I know it can be hard. And I know it can be kind of a grinding process that makes you feel less hopeful. But understand that the name of the game here is acting now with faith that other people are also going to do their part. There are plenty of people just like you who are just as upset as you, and we need to have faith that those other people are doing their part. And we need to reach out to the people we have connections with to get them to do their part too, okay? It is important to work together, but where we are, where the limitations of our personal reach end, that's where our faith in each other needs to begin, okay? And so that is why I'm telling you guys, before we get more into this, like, you guys need to call, you guys need to fax, you guys need to email, and if you can, you guys need to visit their offices. It's really, really, really important. It's important that they see and hear the human cost, because otherwise they are going to feel secure in their power. And the entire point of increasing the political leverage against them is to make them feel unsure of themselves and insecure in their power. Okay? Can you fax a senator even if it's not in your state? You can, but it's going to be more effective if they represent you. Generally speaking, they are, like, a senator in another state is not going to give that much of a shit if you in another state are unrelated to their political aims. I only know one other person in my life who isn't a Trump supporter. Then get that other person to call and fax and email as well. Reach out in your online communities. Get other people to do it as well. That we need it now. Like, now is the time to do this, not like a week from now, not a month from now. They are aiming to get this done by the 4th of July. All right?
Do not give in to the anti-faxers.
Yeah, never give in to an anti-faxer. All right? Sake Tanuki, thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs and for the laughter. I appreciate it, especially today. They are aiming, according to Senate Majority Leader John Thune, they are aiming to get this done by the 4th of July. We need to apply pressure now, and we need to continue applying pressure every single day until this bill is either defeated. And if we don't defeat it in the Senate, then we need to redouble our efforts in the House. I want you guys, if you are able, if you have the time, if you have the capacity, while you're calling your senators, after you've called them, do the same. Fax, call, and email your House representatives. Because what is going to happen here is the bill is being kicked to the Senate. In the Senate, as it stands now, they do not have the votes to pass this bill. And what is being demanded by the likes of Ron Johnson, Lisa Murkowski, and others are substantial rewrites of different pieces of this big, beautiful bill. It is over 1,000 pages long. Some senators are demanding line by line edits together with like the Republican, majority. I want you guys all to understand that that is going to take time. And that is time that we can use to increase pressure on these senators. All right? It's very, very important.
Don't be afraid to social engineer a little bit as well. You can use it as an opportunity to practice regional accents and create character backstories.
True. Have fun with it. Okay? And one thing to understand is that when this bill goes to the Senate, which it has, it then means that if they do make changes, that bill then has to be kicked back to the House for the House of Representatives to ratify those changes. And if the House then makes changes, it gets kicked back to the Senate, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? What we need to do is increase pressure on both the House and the Senate. The Senate takes priority, but if we can do both, that is the best, okay? Because if they only made it through the House by one vote last time, that gives us some wiggle room. That gives us some opportunity to leverage against Republicans who only barely voted for this thing. The coalition that Mike Johnson has put together to pass that bill is fragile as hell. It's very important to understand this. They did not want to vote for this bill, and it was very difficult to get enough of them in line to vote it through. That's why it only won by one vote. That means it's going to be harder to get the House to ratify this bill once the Senate makes changes. So all is not lost, but it is very, very scary. Okay? There are a number of provisions that got added to this bill at the very last minute, and it is it's terrifying. It is disturbing. And one of the things we have to talk about is just the trans stuff. So one of the scary pieces of this legislation was that it included language that banned the use of Medicaid for gender affirmation services for anyone under the age of 18. However, one of the last minute changes that made it even scarier is that it removed the under 18 provision, which means Medicaid, this bill would make anyone on it unable to receive gender affirming care, including adults, meaning that the over 150,000 trans people who rely on Medicaid in order to receive their hormone replacement therapy or get their gender affirming surgeries would no longer be able to get those. Okay? That is over 10% of all trans people in the United States. It is real scary. Okay? And one of the additional effects of this language is stripping the classification of gender affirming care as an essential service from the Affordable Care Act, from Obamacare, meaning that in general, the Affordable Care Act no longer mandates that insurance plans cover gender affirming care. If you look around in this community, you will note that there are many trans people in this community who rely on Medicare for their gender affirming care. There are people in this community whose lives were saved by that gender affirming care. And so this has a huge impact. When we're talking about when we're talking about how this big, beautiful bill will kill people, that's exactly what we're talking about. Trans people who can't get that care often wind up, and I do not want to see that happen to any single person in this community. If you are scared or if you are currently covered by Medicaid, one of the things I want to tell you guys is join our Discord, and I would suggest you reach out to Paladin Lost in the Discord for assistance, because we might be able to figure out a way to get you that care. Okay. I can't, as like, the figurehead of this community or whatever you want to say, like I can't fix all of your problems. I do forbid you all from dying though. And I will do what I can. And I know many other people in this community will do what they can to make sure that you are okay. All right. So that being said, this is one of the most horrific bills of our lifetimes. It is going to kill people. Now, one thing I do want to point out, and I am not a lawyer, this is not legal advice or anything like that, but from my understanding, I know that there are a lot of people who have their insurance through different state marketplaces that are mandated by the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, right? And one thing to know about those plans, especially if you are trans, on the federal level, they can take away the classification of gender affirming care as an essential service. However, on the state level, states can still have their mandates for plans offered through their marketplace to have gender and cover gender affirming care. That is my understanding as of this moment. I might be wrong. But this is one of the reasons why you should look into going to a state with gender affirming care protections, with transgender protections that are explicit on the law books in that state. It is, I think, important to do that because this administration wants to kill us.
What's up, gamers?
Okay? But yeah, if you live, and again, make sure if you're looking at moving from a red state to a blue state, that you are moving to not just a blue state, but a state that has explicit laws on the books protecting trans rights and trans healthcare. And I know that that is a difficult ask, but if it comes down to it, if this bill does pass, please consider moving so that you can get the care you need and deserve. Again, I'm not being facetious or hyperbolic when I say this administration wants us dead. I also know, and I can't speak to other states, but I know in Minnesota, there are different clinics that are nonprofit, that are open, and that will help trans people regardless of your income status, regardless of your insurance coverage. I know there are places like that here in Minnesota, in the Twin Cities area. There are options for you. And I really want to emphasize this. And, I know some folks out there might be wondering, why are you spending so much time on this, Jack? And it's because I know how devastating it can feel to not have access to HRT. Okay. I understand that. And I also deeply understand that stripping of care can lead to people making rash decisions with their lives. And I want to keep you guys safe. So please do not despair. There are still options available to you. All right? I've been seeing this sentiment online of despair, of, frankly, suicidal sentiments. Don't give in to that shit. You have options. There are people out there who will support you. And I know that this community will be a place that will do its best to support you how it can. So please, no dying. That being said, it is quite frightening. Indivisible, though, had a good thread on this. House Republicans just passed Trump's tax scam, the GOP's Medicaid slashing billionaire enriching bill, mega bill. Also, again, and I haven't talked about it that much because I wanted to focus on other things. Remember that all of this suffering is being done for no reason other than to make the world's richest people a little bit richer. Not even a lot richer, but just a little bit richer. It's bizarre. But we're basically doing a Sheriff of Nottingham. We're stealing from the poor to give to the rich. Doesn't make sense to me. And I think for most people in America, it doesn't make sense to them either. The bill got even worse overnight, but the most important thing to know right now is this fight isn't over and this bill can still be stopped. Even now, as Speaker Johnson and his pals prematurely pop their champagne, we have two clear paths to killing this bill. One, we can defeat the bill outright in the Senate by pressuring 4 Senate Republicans into abstaining or voting against it. And that is
Being trans
very important.
Sucks. Aaron in the morning has that map.
I mean, correction, being trans is awesome. Being trans is fucking cool as shit and awesome. Being discriminated against sucks. You know?
Don't ever give up your life to the haters. Live to spite them. You breathe, they seethe.
Yep. Dare Dragon Warrior, thank you for the $5 super chat. One-Eyed Heathen, thank you for the $5 super chat. So we have 2 pathways, right? Number 1, and I guess it's looking pretty small on screen. Let me blow it up for you here. We can defeat the bill outright in the Senate by pressuring your Senate Republicans into abstaining or voting against it. We just need 4. Only 4 members of the Senate in the Republican Party need to vote against it. And right now, we currently have 4 people who are not supportive of this bill. I think we have more than 4, actually. Okay? So that's good. The rewrites might be able to get enough support for this to pass in the Senate. However, those rewrites then present a problem. 2, if the Senate changes even one word of the bill, which they absolutely will, and GOP senators are already pledging major rewrites their House counterparts won't like, it'll go back to the House for another vote, giving us a second chance to block it there. Whether we stop the reconciliation bill in the Senate or in the House, there is no doubt we can still win this fight, but we'll need to ratchet up pressure on Republicans in both chambers right now. Call your GOP senators and tell them to stop the cuts to Medicaid, SNAP, and other vital programs. And you can use 5calls.org. That's what I've been telling you guys to use, but you can also use indivisible.org. Here, I'll just drop that link right into chat here. And House Republicans need to hear from us too. If you live in a GOP district, let your representative know that you're angry that they voted to gut vital programs. Yeah, because one of the things they're really banking on, by the way, a lot of these GOP members of the House, they're banking on the fact that nobody will pay attention. Okay? So let's just drop that link as well. Is anybody pledging a gender affirming care rewrite? Unfortunately, none of the Republicans in the Senate that I know of are planning to rewrite the gender affirming care provision, as far as I know. That might be a stipulation that Murkowski might try to push, maybe. But generally what's going to happen here is we need to kill the entire goddamn bill. That's what we need to do. It's kind of like we kill this bill or it kills us. And I'm not being hyperbolic. How do you out-organize Trump trying to chip away at Republicans in the Senate? Trump supporters have reportedly bullied senators and their families to support Trump. You call them. You email them. You fax them. You show up at their offices. You let them know that you're watching. And then you rely on the knowledge that other people are doing the same. You get other people to do the same. Make them think twice about what they're doing. Give them 1,000 voicemails. Let 1,000 voice messages bloom. Let there be 10,000 reams of paper faxes filling their offices. Write physical letters to them. When do they vote on it? Again, don't know the exact date. We know that the Senate Majority Leader John Thune is trying to get this done by July 4th. We'll see what winds up happening. But if you are in, and that's exactly right, Gamer G, if you're in Maine, Ohio, North Carolina, Texas, Kansas, Iowa, or Florida, you let them know you're watching. Let them know what you want them to do. I'm just so fucking mad. Like, I understand you're going to be like, I understand many of you will say, oh, my GOP representative won't care. Like that. Yeah. The entire point of calling and faxing and emailing and writing letters and showing up to their offices is to make them care. If not out of like the goodness of their heart, then frankly, out of fear for their position. Hi, trans guy in Los Angeles here. I'm looking to find other trans roommates to live with. I'm on Jack's Discord. Hit me up there. Happy to help house people looking to leave red states. That's awesome, Kent Richardson. Thank you very much for putting that out there. I appreciate that. Which Dems went to sleep? None of the Dems went to sleep. A Republican fell asleep in the House vote. Yeah, that's kind of the thing, right? Exactly. Depraved ambiance. It's not even necessarily you need to get them to like care about you as a person. You need to get them to care about like their own best interest. Me not actually knowing what a representative is. Your representative is in the House of Representatives. So when we talk about the two bodies of Congress, there's the House and then there's the Senate. Senators are in the House, senators are in the Senate, representatives are in the House. There you go. Also, keep in mind when you think about calling and you're like, calling doesn't do anything. Keep in mind that in the world of Congress, 10 phone calls is considered a lot in one day. And, I can't help but look around this community and see that currently, right now, there's how many people watching right now? How many people are watching right at this very moment? Let's see. 285, 385. Around 400 people between all of the different places watching right now. Around 400 people. Well, that's a lot of calls if you guys do your parts. That is a lot of calls. And I want you to do that every goddamn day. And I want you to get as many people as you can in your friend group, in your family, in your workplace to do the same. That's kind of your homework right now. That is your homework. It is imperative and it is incredibly important to make this happen. And again, going to emphasize, send faxes with faxzero.com. I know I keep talking about it a lot, but it's just a great website that you can use to maximize your impact. If your senator takes faxes, if your representative takes faxes, use up their office supplies. Send them faxes. They'll have a physical thing to hold on to. Some godforsaken intern in their office is going to have to like pick up all the papers coming out of the fax machine. All right, it's gonna be like just fucking a deluge of paper. All right, make it rain, baby. Visora official. Yes, keep in mind they are legally required to read your messages, to listen to your voicemails, and to tally what you have called and attempted to contact about. Okay? That is what you guys need to do. Do you guys all understand? Do you guys have any questions about what's going on here? We need to stop this thing. Not just for like the trans community, but for every single person that relies on food assistance, every single person in this country who relies on Medicare and Medicaid, every single person.
Fax. Cool to send faxes. Jim Water made me do the pun, blame him.
Oh, that dastardly Jim Water. Thank you for the $5 dono, trains and bullshit. And I want to throw this idea out there. I know that there are a lot of people feeling really defeated, really out of it, and there is a very intense impulse within that defeatism to just check out. And my big thing and my big message to you today is don't check out. It's really, really important that we all kind of maintain our loyalty with each other, our bonds together. And again, I talked about this the other day. I'm going to reiterate it. The number one thing you can do to shake off that defeatist attitude is to do something. Sending those emails, writing those letters, putting out those faxes, making those calls, it will help you to feel better. Take a walk, go for a run, smell some flowers, talk with your friends, play a video game, go see a piece of art, watch a movie, do something, but don't wallow in defeatism. Channel that anger and dissatisfaction into action against this regime. All right? Again, if you looking for additional options of organizing, consider joining DSA. Okay? You have a local DSA, and if you don't, you can make one. And also consider joining your local Democratic Party. And I know that that sounds distasteful for a lot of people in these leftist spaces, but genuinely, if you want to make it better, we need more leftists in the Democratic Party. That is how we take control of the apparatuses. That is how we seize the levers. That's how we seize the means of production in this case. We need to get you in there. And honestly, it's one meeting a goddamn month. And it's mostly the people in your local Democratic Party are going to be older folks who generally want to just give you as much power as they can because they've been doing the same thing for the last 30 years. All right. So join DSA, radicalize your local Dems, get better people into positions of power, and, rise through the ranks so that we can defeat this old guard of 74-year-old Jerry Connollys that have taken a death grip of the Democratic Party and are currently throttling it from the inside. The only way to stop that is by getting inside ourselves. Okay? We got to be the surgeons that go in and fix this problem. So, that being said, this big, beautiful Death Star of a bill has thermal exhaust ports. We just need to put in the work to blow the goddamn thing up. So go do it. Go do the work. You will feel better, and we will fucking win.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather around. Twitch and YouTube and swishy streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, gaming, plenty more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord.